Oh, I just meant like no one take it, I'll get it back.
It was going to get taken.
Okay.
Yeah, it was going to get taken, so we should.
I think it's.
Everyone should.
Right.
Okay, it is, 6:41. I do apologize for my delay, but we can get it started. We have quorum. All right. Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome to the June 2025 general body meeting for the Neac Area Commission. July. Woo! That you see where my mind is. Not this. I'm trying to get you. Welcome to July. Not community engagement. General body. I'll sign Jackie. We're going to get started. Commissioner Rice is not here, so I will have to do I'm secretary. Yeah, but I'm used to this. You know, what? Okay, hear your name, please just say present. Vincent.
Present.
Chris.
Present.
Francisco.
Present.
Frost.
Present.
Answer Humphrey.
Present.
Harris. Present. Katz.
Present.
Fleetbags.
Present.
Lease.
Present.
Logan is now gone. Lowenstein.
Here.
No Reedus. No Bryce. No Wells. Wilbur. And Yukowski. Did I count for everybody? Yes. Okay. You all have received the following documents: the general body meeting minutes from June, the July community engagement meeting minutes, as well as the July zoning site visit minutes. There was no planning and zoning meeting in the month of June because there were no cases, and it was Juneteenth. So, given that you've received all of those documents, are there any questions or amendments that need to be made? All right, I will entertain a motion to accept and to approve the minutes that were sent over email.
So moved, Chris.
Second, because.
Do that in part two. Okay, move Chris, and second, please pass. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yes.
These are the minutes.
Yes.
I just looked at them before the meeting. I don't know that everybody's names were listed for this.
For which one?
For June 2025, like I was there, but I didn't see.
For the June 2025 general body meeting minutes?
Yeah. So sorry, before I did.
And I will say that the attendance is reflected on the attendance sheets. But it should be reflected in the official notes as well.
What we should do is approve and then make a motion to amend. Yes, it's the motion's already made.
All right, so so again, the motion to approve the minutes, again, that's what's on the floor, so please raise your hand if you approve the minutes. All right, should we be doing that?
Yeah, the motion is already after.
It's already in.
Should we be approving it or?
And then we can make another motion to make a modification. Okay, so it's been approved unanimously. All right, now I'll entertain a motion to make a
motion to amend the June minutes to reflect.
Second.
Oh my.
Okay, all those in favor of making those amendments? All right, it's been approved unanimously. Okay. Unanimous consent. All right, thank you. Okay, tonight we have a guest speaker, Ms. Sophie Vogel, who will be speaking on Zone In, Columbus. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always good to see you.
Great, it's always a pleasure to speak to you guys. As a hearing saver, I'm very excited to meet with students judges in the so I'm here today to talk about zoning Columbus and current and upcoming work that we're doing. And kind of just to you guys, on card, you've got the zoning card, you've got my personal card, so if you need anything from the division, just let me know. Always be happy to help. And you guys can be able to open someone that does. So on the front of this card, you'll find an email where you can sign up to be part of our mailing list. And on the back is a QR code that will lead you to the website where you can find our survey, the what's next as well. And you can also stay engaged with more easily by going to the website and find out what our next events are. Again, if you need to know what our next events are, feel free to just email or call or find out for you guys. And you can also follow us on social media. So we've got the Columbus Planning Division on LinkedIn, or Columbus Planning on Facebook, and then Columbus_Planning on Instagram. So the focus of this current work is economic and housing opportunity. Columbus is growing, and really our zoning code is not keeping up with our growth. We've been focusing a lot on housing, but now we need to find jobs to support the growing housing that we're proposing. So, to help inform these new changes that we're proposing, we are holding a series of workshops. The first one was last night in Northland. The closest one to our community is going to be at East High School on July 30th. But then there are two others as well, so you're very welcome to attend whichever ones you want, all of them if you so wish. There's one on July 16th at Buckeye Middle School in Paso, and then one on July 23rd at West High School in Hilltop. And like I mentioned before, we have a survey. I don't know if you guys took part in the last survey that we did last year. It's a very similar format. It's two parts. It's a map portion and a question. And the map on the survey really does get into the nitty-gritty of your neighborhood. So the map that is in the What's Next document is citywide. The map that's on the survey, you can see your neighborhood. So speaking of the What's Next document, that is What's Next. So I just want to take you through just a few key points of this. I have copies for you guys to keep. And if there's any community members that would like a physical copy of this, it is available online, but I can sort the physical copy and bring that to you guys. So left at page 1, you'll see our project goals. Our project goals are zoning. So we want to modernize our zoning code to reflect our community's current and future needs, values, and aspirations. To support growth that prioritizes environmental and economic sustainability through improved transit, additional housing opportunities, and the creation of job centers. Encourage thoughtful investment in neighborhoods that experience racial and economic segregation caused by past urban development policies. And guide the design and development of main streets, activity centers, neighborhoods. To support the community goals while celebrating the unique character of our neighborhoods and creating a sense of place for our residents. And we also want to ensure that this zoning code is fair, understandable, and accessible. That's kind of the problem about current one. It's very wordy, it's kind of hard to understand unless you are used to dealing with zoning codes. So now if we look at pages 6 and 7, this really talks about our upcoming project that we're going to leave with policy this time, not going to pose reform. So we'll be focusing on expanding our economic and housing opportunities, as I mentioned earlier. We're focusing on 3 main areas this time. So we're focusing on mixed-use areas, which are flexible, walkable neighborhoods that include housing, stores, commercial spaces, offices, things like that. We also want to focus on our industrial and warehousing spaces. So that's spaces that job centers, things like manufacturing, data centers, things like that. And then our business and institutional campuses, so our colleges, hospitals, and office parks. Some of the mixed use in this space could be similar to the mixed use in the previous space, but really we're focusing more on flexibility with this space. It's less about building up and more about creating flexible working environments for the people that already exist in the community. So, say there's a barber that wants to open a one-chair barber shop in his home. Currently, he would probably need to go through a zoning reform for that. He needs to get commercial zoning for his property or rent somewhere that has commercial zoning. We're kind of wanting to give more flexibility, so if someone wanted to start a small business from their home, they wouldn't need to go through the whole zoning process to do that. So it's less about development necessarily, and more about creating more accessible opportunities. New zoning districts will be created for each of these areas. Some of them will be similar to the past work that we've done. So in mixed use areas, there probably will be some overlap with the past zoning districts that we created. But the the industrial warehousing and the business and institutional campuses will get their own zoning districts. And they will be created in these areas to advance our priorities, which you'll find on pages 8 and 9. And each priority has associated strategies that will implement these priorities. So we want to leverage additional corridors to create more housing in more places, to grow the local economy and support neighborhood investment by modernizing employment-focused sites, supporting small businesses and guiding growth to benefit all neighborhoods. Connect housing, jobs, and transportation to make it easier for all to live near work, service, and transit. Right now, you'll notice that there are huge gaps where we have no jobs and no access to like important services, pharmacies, grocery stores, things like that. And to promote high quality development with a code that relies on clear and objective standards, and that it's a lot easier to navigate for the average person. So now if you turn to page 11, the zoning team used the following resources to kind of determine this focus area. It's a much larger focus area than the previous one. But they use the existing land uses, so looking at where these kind of land uses already existed and extrapolated. And looking at existing area plan recommendations within the focus areas, and noticing that there is a lack of consistency amongst everyone's area plans. And this is why we need to do the land use plan policy work to kind of regulate all of these different land use recommendations. Because in some areas they've got one name, in other areas they've got another, just to make it easier for everyone to understand. Also looked at yes.
I don't understand this. It would be helpful if there's just, yeah. Well,
What's the website, and I'll type it in.
Yeah, there's no key on that. It's not your fault, it's just some feedback goes on.
It is clickable.
This document, is it clickable?
I have the PDF version open
Okay.
from like the famous game.
And it's not. It's not. Okay. These areas and the land use recommendations are available on the Columbus site information resource.
Okay.
So
And that's
I can get
fair,
a link to
but
that.
it would be very helpful, especially as you start to do these. If you're going to give out hard copies, which is an accessibility thing, have them be actually useful.
Yes.
There's a key.
I definitely don't understand, but. And also, just so we can go back a little, July 30th, that you said what time? Did you say the time or next slide?
5 to 7.
5 to
Yes.
7, thank you. Thank you.
That is great feedback.
So I guess just broadly close to take out everything. These colors mean different things, right?
Yes.
Meaning, like, I know this is not correct, like, purple might be big,
Yes.
like that's the zone. Just
So red generally is commercial, yellow and orange are different types of residential, blue tends to be institutional, and then I believe the purple is our industrial.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it would really be helpful if it
Yes.
was like a little, so where we see colors, that's where zoning is focused.
Yes, on these maps.
Okay. There's not a ton in the area southern, I think.
There is not as much of it here because there's city, because we are hosting industrial centers and job centers. There's not a ton of that in our area, but, there will be a few parcels here and there. And if you take the survey, you'll be able to zoom into the map and you'll be able to see what parcels are included. So we also looked at like the thoroughfare plan, and looked at and future Lake West Coast routes. And that's how we got to the focus area map, which is on page 16. This one you'll notice doesn't have any land use recommendations on it because we haven't really, well, we haven't discussed it we yet. We're waiting for community input, and that's why we're here to like advocate what you want to give us your input, tell us what you want to see where. But you will see that it's quite a large portion of the city that is going to be updated with this portion of zoning. So this portion actually covers over 43% of the city, which is 66,590 parcels. Which phase one only includes 13,000 parcels and is around 4.3% of the city. So it's quite a large chunk that's taken on this time, but we have a great team. But we do really appreciate everyone's input.
Question.
Yes.
So, I know people started asking questions. I have a question too, but have you finished your presentation? I would love to give you a chance to just finish out what.
No, yeah.
Why don't you move ahead and finish your presentation?
So to meet the needs of our city, we do need to continue to work with the community to develop an amendment to our Columbus citywide planning policies, which I know has not been adopted in the Near East, but we are hoping to change the name of those planning policies to become the Columbus Growth Strategy. So this will expand the land use policy basis for the remaining work of zoning that will encompass the whole city. It will include citywide design guidelines that balance quality development standards with housing supply and infrastructure needs, and establish policies in support of capital planning and investment. So this will be a huge accomplishment for the city. We've never done this before. We've never had a citywide land use plan in this way. So the land use recommendations that are encompassed in the individual area plans will be superseded by the Columbus Growth Strategy, but you guys will still be able to use your area plan in conjunction with this land use. So we really encourage you to go to our website, engage in a survey, come to our events, and we'll continue to engage with all of you guys as often as you would like us to. You can come back whenever you guys feel like, and I'm always available, like I said.
All right, I'd like to ask my question. So I'm the zoning chair here for the
Yes.
commission. So back in June, I was invited to meet with a couple of the senior staff to talk about this in advance of this coming out. And we talked about a bunch of things, but a lot of the conversation was about what real estate in the Near East Area Commission area would be appropriate for mixed use type development. I understand the focus is about economic development, which is kind of interesting. And so I gave some feedback on that. The maps here are almost unreadable in terms of us trying to understand what areas you're looking at, you're thinking about. So could you talk about a little bit about the characteristics of the areas, the land where you're thinking? I'm not asking you to identify street names as much as what's the characteristics of land that lends itself to this this particular zoning phase to create mixed-use opportunities for people without having to come through for zoning. And I will say that this commission has unanimously, that's not the right word, consistently supported any economic development project that someone has applied for. So it's not like we're in the, standing in the way, or that the zoning process is necessarily standing in the way of anybody promoting business development in the Near East Side, right? So, other than expediting someone's business plan by not having to go through a zoning change, is there more to it? Well, talk to us about, like, where does this make sense?
I mean, it can make sense in many different places. Our definition of mixed use doesn't force a mixture of uses on a parcel. It's more allowing for housing or commercial or office on these corridors. So it could be, realistically, it could be most neighborhoods, most streets. I think right now they're focusing more on secondary corridors, so like streets that aren't necessarily main thoroughfares, but they're like still busy roads. And
Yeah.
they might already have the infrastructure, and some neighborhoods they might not. But I think housing and having these job centers close together is really what the aim is. I don't think that there's necessarily defining characteristics of a site outside of what has been notated in these maps. Which, if you guys think it would be helpful to have area-specific maps.
We
for
sure
these
would.
things.
We'd love to be able to see what areas you're specifically targeting within our jurisdiction. It's pretty hard to react to something where the scale of it is like, a 1/16 of an inch is the whole
Yeah, I completely understand.
area.
So
Even if you can zoom in online.
Yeah.
It's great that you have like these resources.
This is the first I've seen this, and I don't know if others have seen these maps before this, but it'd be great to see this
Yeah,
on
an
a
area
larger
specific.
scale.
Yes, I can take that back to the team, and next time I come and see you guys, I will bring those maps with me.
Question behind you.
Oh, I don't have a question. I don't know if this is gonna be helpful, but if you go to the auditor site and put in a specific address, these properties are now starting to be labeled when they're rezoned, like UTC or whatever the urban development is. And a lot of these lots you were asking that are being targeted there's a lot of long, narrow parcels on these corridors that aren't a beautiful neighborhood that you can walk and have sidewalks and infrastructure. And they have a duplex or multifamily sit at the front on the roadside, and you have this 400-foot lot that never gets used or anything, really. It's just wild growth. The owners don't take care of it. So now if you can put another duplex or develop that parcel, I think that's the motivation. But it also fast tracks plan approval and stuff, which makes things viable when you're in a business setting.
Go for me, I don't know.
I appreciate your comment about the auditor site. I think it's helpful. What you're describing would be interesting for us to discuss at a later date. My question for you is, so I focused in on your last page about what's next in your timeline here, because for phase one, the commission felt a little, in terms of getting community input. So it looks like this is going to go to city council for a vote before the end of the year. Is that accurate? The calendar year?
I believe
Submitted to city council for consideration, and that's like right before 2020. Yes. So, I, Chair, am kind of putting out there that, this is probably another opportunity that we're gonna wanna host a community forum just for awareness at a minimum. And we'll need to make sure that our neighbors are doing the survey ahead of that, because the survey will be one piece, and then they'll probably, so last time we did the survey, and then quite quickly afterwards, there was submission of what that actually resulted into in terms of a plan. Is that similar? And then we'll have a little bit of time to react to it before it goes to city council?
I believe so, I think we still that same comment.
Yeah, so last time it was 30 days. So we'll want to make sure that we understand what our plan looks like, because admittedly, we probably could have done better had we known last time.
That's common feedback that we've received, that people think has enough input last time, which is why we're coming out to the area commissions earlier this time. Wanting to get you guys involved from the outset. And you
So
guys
when is
get-
your survey closing?
I believe, I have it written down somewhere. I believe it's the end of September. Sometime in September.
Alright.
So it's over for quite a while.
But if your survey is closing at the end of September and you're getting something to city council for a vote before the end of the year, that's a very tight turnaround in terms of what your recommendations are and for the commission to respond to the recommendations. So again, I mean, we probably want to preemptively get something on the calendar for November, because otherwise we won't have anything, any
Yeah,
opportunity.
at some point in the fall, let's do that.
and I can be available for that date.
Perfect, thank you.
So, before it's lost, could you, send that survey
Yes.
to us?
You should be able to access it from the QR code in the back. Well, I can send you the link to it as well.
Yeah, send out a link, you have a graphic for,
But
yeah, like a graphic for a survey.
29 you should say.
Okay, so then we can share,
Yeah, I'll send it check with our social media team and get that to you guys as well.
and we'll share it on influence, so. That.
What's that, vice chair?
You have, hot cards as well, or something like that?
Yes, and I know last time at the forum, I brought paper copies of feedback sheets. I can do that too.
Yeah.
So bring that with me.
Then we can,
September, what you guys need.
well, before then, we could house it, so then when people come for elections and so forth, that maybe something we get there.
Yeah, and I'm just around the corner, so if you guys have them all ready, all here, also.
Mr. Sass.
So, and this is feedback part, right? And so we've got two sets of meetings on here, and we've got overlapping topics. Are you passing out this zone-in information at the capital budget town halls? Because it's probably the same types. People be interested in that to come out for these. And then my other question is, since economic development is such a big part of this, are you going to do a session, maybe a citywide session where you reach out to like entrepreneurial support organizations, talk to developers, business owners, as a thing apart, as opposed to them just coming to a zone in which they may not understand is relevant to them? Because if you haven't seen the plan, you don't know that the city is planning to economic development, with the zoning changes. And then the other thing is, have you guys thought about, market-driven or organic business growth? Or, so you're talking about the industrial centers, where there are big factories or space factories, but in neighborhoods like ours, that doesn't necessarily exist, but we do have, got a great big old Broad Street, we've got Main Street, we've got Lung Street, that is really begging for commercial, because we have an increasingly dense neighborhood where you have to leave it to go and do just about anything. So has that been a consideration?
Main Street's already been zoned in, as per the last round.
But is it being encouraged as a part of this plan? Are we talking to people who could do this as a part of the
Phase one
plan?
wasn't economic development, so I mean, it's irrelevant.
And then the city's Office of Economic Development wasn't pushing out this
Well,
information.
I guess my question is like, this next phase is focused on like, which is haven't already been like rezoned, right? Like, I guess going back to look at that initial, like, maybe those initial parcels that were zoned.
So those ones that have been zoned, that's those ones. So
Yes.
this new portion just focuses on areas that have horizontal touch.
So I guess my question was, I get that, but my question is, if we're pushing this out and we haven't saturated the community with it, regardless of what has happened so far, is there a plan on to do that when you get into other pockets of the people that are impacted by this? And you don't answer, it's just a question that you raise.
And I can get you this question. I do not have the most of it.
Oh, I get it.
But it'd be great to, if you have any resources for this, that we can send us this out to, that would be really helpful. Any more feedback? Obviously, feedback is always really helpful to us.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie.
It's always good to see you guys.
And on the website, it's trouble finding
Yes.
this presentation or the maps on this presentation. If you can give me,
If you click on the third orange thing down, it says view the what's next document, then it should I don't know why it downloads and doesn't just open in a parent window.
okay, as long as it's right there. Now I know exactly where to send
Yes.
people if anyone has any questions. That's perfect.
But if they have any questions about the actual large scale maps of these things, I can send out the link to our site information resource. Currently that's where the GIS letters for this live. But I can get the team to make any area specific set of maps so that you guys.
If that's possible, that would be great. I think that's kind of maybe what he was asking for,
Yes.
so thank you.
So thank you guys. If you have any questions, you have my card. You also have the zoning student card, has a phone number and an email address in it. So they'll get back to you within probably a couple of days if they don't answer those things. But then they're in on great. And they're always open to feedback questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sending our group the circles. I know you can do it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sophie.
Thank you.
All right, are there any announcements from commissioners and members of the community engagement? Yes, Commissioner, please pass.
Just a reminder that the Old Town East Tour of Homes is on Sunday from 12 to 5. It'll be starting at the Lincoln Theater. If you don't already have your tickets, just pick them up day of. And if you have not told them that you're interested in volunteering and would like to volunteer, they definitely take you.
And ask for this, but somehow my house got signed up for it, so
Exciting.
this will be a part of the Brownsville Old Town East Tour of Homes.
Thank you for volunteering your home.
And, Commissioner, Owens, sends me a message saying, I'm from the tour homes with your house. I was like, yeah, sure. I think it's small. I'm getting emails from the whole town. Yeah, please come in and invade my house. Thank you. Any other announcements?
I do have an announcement. Legacy Leadership, their girls group started yesterday, Wednesday. It is Wednesday from 4:30 to 7:30 in girls ages 3rd grade through 8th grade. And their theme this year is Rooted and Rising to Bloom. And bloom where you are planted is kind of the tagline. So each week they will be doing a different flower. So if anybody have any flowers or anything to donate for the aesthetics of the facility, that would be wonderful.
Every Wednesday, what time?
4:30 to 7:30. We have 19 girls currently enrolled. We are going up to 24. So a slot for about 5 more girls.
That's in the community room.
In the community room at 1245 Mount Vernon Avenue at Legacy Point at Poindexter.
Any other additional announcements from commissioners? The Heritage Heritage Festival has started, every Thursday, for the rest of July. If there is a rainy Thursday, like, not today, there is a makeup date in August that takes place in Mamie Moore Park. There's also a deer survey in which, the aid of Nancy Day Atoir sent out that they would like people to complete. We don't have deer in the neighborhood.
That's why.
Not that I've ever seen.
Well, I guess in District Two and even in.
Well, I mean, essentially, if you think about the railroad overpass,
Gotcha.
that can fit with the area, then also kind of, yeah.
Well, I'm sending out a survey they would like people to complete for a deer survey, okay? So there's that.
If you do take it, one of the interesting ideas that I saw being floated online for that was to allow for basically like archery hunting within the city, and then those deer, the meat be used for like food pantries. Apparently Pittsburgh has a program similar to that.
That's different in Pittsburgh. I see deer every time I go to Pittsburgh.
That's
In the city, no, it's there. Deer jerky is.
I grew up eating deer meat, so I couldn't tell you the difference between deer and cow.
Oh, wow.
Deer jerky is pretty
It's
good.
also super healthy for you. It's almost like no fat.
Any other announcements? All right, Mr. Ovalle.
Okay, there's a couple announcements, remember since it's so light, it's been coming to neighborhoods. And just for clarification, Commissioner Frost, I handed out this handout, so I was combining some of the flyers together, so I could put two different things together, so don't wanna put Sophie on the spot, but that was me kind of trying to save paper and, but with the.
I'm sorry, Sophie.
It's a good idea.
But, yeah, so one of the things I wanted to announce is obviously the capital budget town halls. There's 3 of them consecutive next week. You could attend any of them. 2 of them in the afternoon and then 1 of them's in the morning, just trying to hit different crowds and stuff like that, depending on schedules. This was just sent out today, so you probably have it in your email, but I didn't want to print some out, and we have some information for the residents as well. 2 other things for our zoning and planning leadership. I did send out an email. The city of Columbus, Building and Zoning Services is changing the way they notify area commissions when there are projects coming out. Before we will get a individualized email from someone from Building and Zoning with the application, the labels, as well as the recommendation forms. Now, we're gonna receive something that's gonna kind of guide us to the citizen access portal, where we'll have to download the information from there. Kind of just make it easier, more transparent. That's gonna take effect, July 21st. So again, for our leadership in planning and zoning, kind of make that note. Again, it's gonna kind of be similar to like the demo notifications. You'll get that initial email with the address with the application, and then it'll tell you to the citizens access portal. And then my last announcement, Coffee and Conversation, Near's Coffee and Conversation, in partnership with the Department of Neighborhoods, HAC, and Neighborhood Social Work at Columbus Public Health. It's on Friday, July 25th, here at 10 o'clock in the morning. And our guest speaker is going to be Assistant Director Catherine Cole, who's with the City Council Community Engagement Team. She's going to come out and talk about City Council and some of the initiatives that they're doing. So if you have time on your schedule, pencil that in, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dana from.
Manager Speed Program Manager with Partners Achieving Community Transformation, or ACT. And I just have one announcement tonight. We have our Neighborhood Leadership Academy in 2 phases this year. Phase 1 ended at the end of June, but phase 2 begins at the end of this month. So if you are interested, an application is live right now on our website. This will be from the end of July through October, where people who are interested in leadership skills in the community will have a chance to grow those leadership skills and develop a project. It can be a project that you come up with in those weeks, or one that you already have started. And there are funds available to help with your project. So if you're interested, visit our website, come by our office, give me a call, and we'll get you set up.
So much. Are there any announcements from community members in the gallery? Wonderful. All right, we'll now go on to our standing reports, starting with planning, Commissioner Benson.
Give me a moment to steady myself, please. Yeah, I didn't think so, but, okay, so just a slew of new projects in new business. I have 1287 East Fulton Street, 1371 Brighton Road, 1371 Mount Vernon Avenue, 533 North Nelson Road. Other than that, we have no projects to really do for them. And that concludes my report.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, now we'll move on to zoning with Commissioner Lowenstein.
Okay, we have one case on the agenda for tonight, which is 39, I think it is, Linwood. So would the applicant come forward and you have some materials to distribute? Go ahead with that.
Should come to you.
We have a digital presentation here.
This is like right across the street.
Yes.
It is. We could just go over.
Actually, I think we should.
Well, we did on Saturday.
It's like
Okay.
a mall.
We were over there. It does not look like that right
Anymore, no, it does not, but you'll have to use your imagination, it's much prettier place.
It is. So keep it, give us a short presentation of what it is you propose to do. Keep in mind that some of the members of the commission were not on the planning or zoning committees, don't know anything about this.
Fantastic.
So what you would want to highlight is, here's what we're trying to do, and the variances we needed are this and this and this.
So my name is Nick Fairfan. I'm with Artfluence, the architecture firm representing a client based in Sherman. We actually designed this a couple of years ago, and we first wanted to finish the main house on the property, and is now moving forward. We're trying to move forward with this project. Most of you haven't seen me before. I know 3 of you from the site visit and from the Old Town East meeting. But my partner Paul was on the first meeting that we came to discuss this project. And I think that was approved contingent on the Old Town East meeting and the site visit, which we finished on the 5th. So basically this is a proposal for a 3-story carriage house. First floor would be a garage, parking, and then a 1-unit apartment above, that's 2 levels. This carriage house does not exceed the height of the house, which is also 3 floors. And one of the variances that we had to request was a height variance. The other one was a lot coverage, which is pretty typical for our small lots here in Old Town. And the other one might have been parking, which is in the application here. I think it was parking. Okay.
Excuse me, if you have a digital presentation of what you're doing, we can show that. Otherwise, if you would distribute your paper copies to more of us so that we can see what it
He
is.
offered, Roy.
What's that?
He offered to distribute them, and anyone else declined. So
Who declined?
Pretty much everybody.
they all
Well,
declined.
that's fine, I didn't decline.
Okay.
It's like if you don't have a presentation,
So
I'm familiar with it, but I don't know that everyone is.
we did submit a digital presentation, and here is the
Anyone in
physical.
audience want any as well?
If you guys wanna see what this is, you don't care?
If you take it, you keep it.
We don't care.
Do you guys like one?
Go ahead.
So the main residence is completed. This is strictly for the carriage house in the rear of the lot and alley. It's gonna have alley access, and increased density. It is of a modern design, but in the spirit of the new build that, it has been included as a part of the lot. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
If you said this, I just want to make sure you're correct. You said that the height of this accessory dwelling unit does not exceed the height of the. Like how much shorter?
I believe it's a pusher. There's gonna be yeah. It has technically, when you talk about height, you go from the middle of the roof. This is a slanted roof like this, so you don't count the top part, the center of it. So it has a really cool vaulted ceiling. But that top part doesn't exceed the top of the main house. And I believe the unit is just over 1,600 square feet apartment, 2 bedrooms, and then living room, kitchen on the second.
One of the things we noted at the site visit meeting is that there's already a parking pad there. So you've got a slab in with 3 parking spaces on it. So one of the things that made it easier for us to conceive of, okay, here's this new structure gonna go up, is that it's right on the area that's already been paved. So they're gonna put a 2-car garage in there. What's now the 3rd space, though, will be taken up by the building, stairway, and so forth up to the 2nd and 3rd floor. So there'll only be 2 spaces for 2 units, but you know, sometimes when we see these ADUs that are substantial, they're eating up all the green space there is. In this case, it's not really taking up any more green space than's already been taken up by the plan. And the yard it's a 42-foot lot, so it's a little bit bigger than some of the lots that we see where the housing is like the whole thing. And so here, there's still gonna be some green space, and we talked about a couple of trees being added and that kind of thing. So we didn't really have some of the issues that we do with some cases like this.
Yeah, you can actually see in the picture that the main house is off to the side. So you have that huge side yard that's probably bigger than most yards.
Correct, Commissioner Klebash?
Yeah, just wanted to add a couple of additional things. So we also talked a fair amount because the main house is Airbnb is the use that they're using it for at this point, and will continue to do that. And so the plan is for this additional structure to be the place where the homeowner stays when the house is being rented. Now, granted, we can't assume that that's forever going to be the use, but that was part of the conversation. And then the other thing that we talked about is when you look at the images in terms of the renderings, you will see the balconies and all of that. Those will be facing the alley. Those will not be facing the interior of the lot, and that's a little different than what we frequently see. So I wanted to note that. They did present for OTINA, and OTINA was in support of the project.
Thank you very much.
Can I say, in regard to the alley facing balconies, there was a comment as well about considering screening on those balconies for the privacy of the eventual residents or whatever is built across the alley from that. Currently, it's an empty lot. So just I guess a request to consider that.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely ways to incorporate screening into the railing itself. Yeah.
Currently, there's no house directly across the alley. So we're talking about a theoretical situation, but at some point, someone could, put a house in there. That's what we're referring to. Anyone else on the commission have a comment or question?
I have a question. Was there any neighbors at the?
No, there were not. Now, scheduling this meeting, it came up at a time where there really wasn't time it's my fault, I take blame for that, to have gotten out new postcards. So this was a hearing that had been delayed because the applicant couldn't make the earlier one, and we realized, are we actually gonna do this on the July 4th weekend by the time we realized we weren't? But we asked the applicant to manually distribute notices to people, and they said they did, but no one came.
And I will say that we did show up, for the June site visit, even though then the applicant wasn't going to be available, just so that if neighbors did show up, the commissioners were there to inform them, and there were neighbors that showed up that time.
Thank you. Anyone else on the commission have anything they wish to say? Anyone in the community wish to say anything about this case? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Chris.
Chris?
Second, Cletus?
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it is unanimous. Thank you very much. So, recommendation form. The chair is gonna sign that for you, and you're gonna, email that to the planner, but you're also gonna email either the chair or myself so that we know that it has been sent to the city. And so that's what they will have, showing that we're in support of the case, and we're done now with, you don't have to come back here. So there you go. You're off to city council on this.
Am I able to get a business card from the two of you so I can email it?
I can write my.
That'd be great. Yeah, well, absolutely include things.
Cool, thank you very much.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
You can have this back if you like. I just wanted to have one in case some question came up. You know. There you go.
So much.
The only other thing on that I would like to mention while we're on the zoning section is we sent out a survey to everyone, inviting you all to this little tour that I've been talking about for about a year, of going and looking at a few of the projects that we have reviewed in the past that have gotten built, to sort of talk about, is this what we thought we were getting? Do we like it? What do we like and not like about it? Just sort of to inform our sense of, our policies and all that. And my understanding is July 31st came out as the winner. So that is, what day of the week is that?
A Thursday.
A Thursday. So what we're gonna do is we're going to meet at 6:30 at the first site. I will prepare an itinerary for this little journey, which I think can get done clearly within 90 minutes. And so we're gonna go to, I think, 4 places. And I'll prepare that in the next, over the next few days. And Commissioner Francisco will send that out to everyone. And it is like specifically for planning and zoning, but also everyone on the commission is invited to go. And as the chair has pointed out, it's actually a public meeting, as everything must be that we do. So we'll end up publicizing it, and we could have people outside the commission join us. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what time is that again?
6:30, which is our favorite time for meetings, I guess. You know.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move on to community engagement with Madam Vice Chair Francisco.
Yes, so, for our September meeting, we're looking to host a Bronxville, food co-op volunteer orientation as our community engagement meeting, so more details. That concludes my report.
So volunteer meeting.
Yes.
All right, well, now move on to special.
Before we move on, I have a question about at the community engagement meeting, I read the minutes, and one of the things that was talked about was the demolition of the two schools.
Yes.
That's a big deal, right? Because the demolition of those schools will cause those properties to become, to go up for bid, I presume, or I don't know. And it wasn't clear from reading the minutes what the process or time, I understand the time frame for the demolition, that's gonna happen real soon. But like, what do we know about the school board's plan for disposal of these properties?
There's not any public information, so that's what we were talking about, just getting community feedback to see what people would like to see so that we could send both the city and the school board our recommendations.
So is the commission officially going to make recommendations to the school board of what we think? Because I don't remember ever doing that before. Is that something we're planning to do?
That's what we discussed, yes.
And so what would be the process for making those decisions?
We're gonna write a letter.
Based on what was discussed at the community engagement committee, or
Yes.
wouldn't that be something that the full commission would want to talk about?
It was more like getting neighbors feedback.
Yeah.
I will say, like, it was truly like a group thing. Neighbors who were interested in this property specifically that came and gave input.
Yeah,
I feel like since we're representatives of the community, for me, I felt like it was a sufficient meeting.
Yeah, I think more the intent was also like to try to even just get information. At this point in time, Autumn has attempted to reach out to them. I got her a different contact, hopefully tried to get some additional information. Just there hasn't been any public information. There's not a whole lot of that. And the only reason we were able to do the demo is because the contractor's permit information is available on the citizen access portal. We just happened to email him, and he was actually communicative and emailed back.
The other thing I was unclear about was the school, what used to be Franklin Middle School. Are they gonna demolish both of those buildings?
They're just the annex building.
Just the annex?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the preparatory school is still in use.
I thought so, but the funny thing was when you selected the link, where am I thinking? What link? Is that right? Maybe there wasn't a link. I guess it talked about the demolition of Franklin Middle School, but when you looked that up, the picture it gave you was of the building that's still operational. And so I wasn't altogether sure whether they were just tearing down the annex, which is what I thought was gonna happen. Okay.
Are you talking about like Google the address?
Huh?
Are you talking about if you like Google the address, what shows up?
I didn't Google the address so much as just the reference was to Franklin Middle School, and when I looked that up, I got a picture of the main building, and so I'm thinking, I'm not sure I know what's going on here. Thank you. So that's gonna happen really quite soon. I think that site on Oak Street is a premier site in our neighborhood. And I feel not disparaging for a moment the conversation you had at community engagement. I think that's a bigger conversation, perhaps. I mean, I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but that's a site that a lot of the people have had their eyes on for a long time. So it's like, I think before we send recommendations to the city on that, I think the commission as a whole should have an opportunity to take a look at that. Saying.
Well, everyone can start by watching the recording of the conversation. It was a good discussion.
All right,
So will we do a letter review similar to what we did with Beth?
Yes, and it was also recommended that we reach out to the Ohio Historical Society because that was also the site of the First East High School. To have some sort of dedication.
For some suggestions for the community development.
an outdoor, community use for, yeah, sports complex, since there technically isn't a recreation center in Franklin Park. What else was discussed? That was like the big thing.
Interesting
We
idea.
talked about you know, anything from soccer, baseball, things for like facilities to host rec leagues for youth on the east side. We talked about community gardens, if there's an opportunity for, to connect with any of the community gardens or farmers markets that are trying to stand up and, you know, is there an opportunity to leverage that space, thinking about the connection to school. Then we found out that the school does have maybe some programs, so we're trying to get information on that. There was conversation about, obviously grocery store, anytime there's, I think, land.
Space, it's like,
Grocery store. I think those are the primary topics of conversation for that particular location.
Sounds like a good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, hospital was not mentioned.
I've looked at that site multiple times and thought, man, great multi-family site.
Yes, it is.
Do you have a estimated timeline and when it's like
That's
that
it.
there?
I do not.
Sure will.
All right. Does that conclude your report?
Yes, it is.
Now we'll go on to the special committee reports, start with the elections committee. No, you're good. Elections committee.
Yep, so thank you to the elections committee. We got all of the edits and updates done. The application is live, has been put out on the website. We are asking that you talk about it when you attend the civic meetings. Applications are due August 1st, so we're quickly coming to that deadline. And if there's any additional questions, please feel free to reach out, but the process is very similar as it has been in the past. You'll need to get petitions signed. The main difference that has been noted is there was previously a discrepancy between the narrative that Neac put together and the form from the city in terms of where the signatures needed to come from, whether they needed to be in your district or in the Neac district. We corrected that discrepancy and followed the city form. And that means that signatures are able to come from the Neac district. And if we need to have elections, we have a process for that, and so on and so forth. But please get people to submit applications, because we have 0 submitted at this point.
They're due August 1st.
They are.
Okay, just.
So yeah, talk to your friends, your neighbors, and just share the word about what we do with Neac, and say it's a 3-year commitment. Maybe not leave that, but yeah.
That's after the first year.
Yeah. Thank you. Are there any messages or updates? Thank you. Technology committee, Commissioner Lees.
No, there was an issue with the, agenda folder that showed permissions, on Google Drive. That's been corrected. Just as an FYI, if you get a request for access to the drive to your email, please ignore it. Let either myself or chairs handle the sharing request, just so we can ensure that things that aren't supposed to be edited by folks outside of this, body aren't, happening. So, I also noticed here with chairs that, talked about it, it looks like there haven't been any, meeting minutes moved into the public folder, since March, or looks like May and June, well, just it feels like May, PDFs haven't been moved over there yet. I don't know if, Bob was supposed to be handling that process, so I'm not sure, if they got those somewhere else, but I just finished it now and I didn't see them.
Do you know where those documents are housed?
I know where they're supposed to be housed, but I don't know where they are.
Where they are. Okay. Yes, this drive changed so much. Okay, I wrote it down, with Commissioner Rice and I to track down.
Change takes time, growth. This looks so big, so gotta be positive.
And you just said it's the May 2025 minutes? That's what's all been updated so far, but June is missing.
Yeah, but if I look, yeah, so it looks like May is missing from the general body, CEC minutes are there. Looks like May, planning and zoning are, wait, never mind, May, planning and zoning are there. It looks like just May general body is missing.
Okay. That's supposed to be in historical minutes.
Yep.
Folder. Okay, all right, we'll be sure to, find, yes.
Just a comment, someone who actually goes in and tries to find those, I think that's pretty critical. Have those posted so that the public can find them, and they haven't been.
Would you like to identify yourself, Director?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer Hunt from South of Maine.
Thank you so much. Are there any other comments, from you, Commissioner Lees?
No.
Thank you. Okay, Treasury report, Mr. Morris.
Very short, we have spent $580.27 on a Google G Suite. There probably are people here who could explain what that is better than me, but that is what we have spent so far this year, leaving $1,919.73, if I did the math right, for the period between now and April of next year. So that's where we are.
All the way to April. Can I ask a question about
Go.
what we might be able to spend those dollars on? It might just be a part, no.
Sure.
But it can't hurt to ask. Like litter cleanup materials. Like trash pickers, vests, and bags.
Those you probably get for free for keeping for green colors.
I know, and that is what we've already looked into, but, just figured.
I do like that idea of like, maybe I said further, like, is there an opportunity for, supply like a trash can and bags for neighbors that want to maybe put out a trash can in the front yard for folks to drop off, like dog food bags and like used dog food bags. I would love to like see something like that where we encourage like folks like, hey, be that champion of the block and have a litter can outside on your, on your front porch so people can use and whatever.
Just because it's something that each district could eventually like use as their quarterly meeting thing for. Is that enough? We should search elsewhere to find those items.
So what we've historically done with expenditures has been, if people have ideas, a lot of them come through community engagement historically, but if people have ideas about things they want to spend money on, those kind of come put on the table and are discussed, have been discussed at executive committee, and then are voted on at the general body. So if, anyone that has any ideas for things they think the commission should spend money on, I would suggest that we handle that way.
That sounds great. So you guys talk about it later. In the meantime, we'll continue to explore other avenues. Mostly. Thank you, Commissioner.
All righty, thank you for that. Is there anything else with the treasury report?
No, that's it, thank you.
All right, there's no old business. There is no new business.
I don't know if this comes as, so I have any comments, discussion. There were discussions around planning and zoning meeting from several meetings ago where a developer was not available to talk about their project, but there were community members that wanted to give comments. There was some discussion around whether or not that was a process that we had written down, or if we knew what the way that the commission had previously handled it. I watched several of the Board of Zoning and planning meetings for the city, and it does look like they have a process for community members to leave comments or to still speak up and have their voice heard, even when a developer or representative of a developer is not there to represent the project. I wanted to bring that up for discussion to see if it's something that we need to put in our bylaws, so that if a situation similarly arises in the future, we have a process of which folks will know to follow. Whether or not, what decision we make on that is open to the commission. Obviously, so we have to make that as a group, but I wanted to make sure that we can at least have a process in place so folks are not unsure of what we should do as a commission when that situation arises.
So make sure I captured this correctly in our minutes. Can you send that in one sentence?
Yes. We had a situation where a developer was not present to represent a project, but community members were there to speak on said project. We were unsure if community members should have the opportunity to speak on a project. And so I followed up to see how the city handles this in their zoning and planning meetings. And it seems as though they do allow community members to speak to a project that developer or developer's representative does not show up for.
So I think we are under everything the city does, so it can be the same practice in which we follow. I think that makes most sense.
I think it's a bad idea. I think when we had that, I think it was extremely awkward. And the reason that it's awkward, now I understand, let me backtrack for a second. I understand that people took the time to come here and, you know, we don't want to do anything to discourage community involvement or input in our meetings. Notwithstanding that, it was really awkward because people are free to make comments about the case where the developer is not present to state the facts from their perspective. And it's like, that just seemed all wrong to me. I feel that our policy ought to be, if the applicant or the representative doesn't show the case table, with apologies to people who showed up. I mean, it's unfortunate, but to have people, get people the opportunity to get up and talk about their beliefs about this project, it puts us in a really difficult position if we think the facts are otherwise. It's just like, it just felt all wrong to me. So that's my opinion.
I want to give.
Just to add to that, I think that it is a little problematic to get community input knowing that we won't be voting, because the community input will not be fresh in the minds of the folks that are voting if it doesn't happen on the night that the vote takes place, right? Like, if there's 30 days in between, that's not doing the community member justice either.
It's another good reason, given that there's going to have to be another hearing anyway, and so they either will come or not come, and we could have forgotten details of what it was they felt when they were here. And that's why I just feel the case should be tabled.
And I mean, honestly, the forum to have that would be open community forum. So like, you would listen to the cases, then you would have your open community forum. We don't actually take notes on all of the things from a meeting minutes perspective of community forum comments. So yeah, there's just, sorry, I'm finished.
And I guess I'm the person who does not agree. And the reason why I don't agree is because if the community member was set to come here and the developer did not show up, as a community member, I'm waiting to voice my opinion. And if I can't voice my opinion, one or two things might happen. If it's important to me, I might return. And just like the developer has something to do, on the day that the developer might come back, I might have something to do that day. So if I'm here and I want to be heard, I should have the opportunity to be heard because it was on the floor. In addition to that, I just think it allows the community member to release whatever comment or frustration that they might have and give them time to think about for when the developer returns, if they still are in that same headspace. And I just think that, to me, if you shoo me away, I'm going to think that, oh, they don't care anyway. And so I feel like we pick and choose what we might want to remember, because I hear us a lot of times saying, well, the community member said such and such about a project that, so we remember things that we kind of want to remember, or it comes back to our remembrance when it's time for it to come back to our remembrance. So I think that as a community member, they should be able to speak if they took the time out to come. And all the meetings are recorded and we can always go back and listen to it if needed.
I totally understand what everybody's saying so far. I do tend to agree with, if somebody is wanting to voice their opinion, they showed up, but the person who was on the emailed agenda is not there, the developer, I think we should still hear them. But I guess in the scenario that happened, I don't remember this scenario, was it emailed out, was it shared with the community that this developer was supposed to be there? Yes, it was, even though it wasn't technically, when the meeting was started, we were like, this isn't on the table anymore because they are not here. Okay.
Yeah, they told us ahead of the meeting that they weren't going to attend, but it was still publicized that they were going to be here.
Would it maybe be reasonable to consider something in the middle, okay, developers, you need to let us know 48 hours in advance if you cannot be.
Yeah, but someone could just be sick that night, they can't come.
You're right, I don't know, I was just trying to strike a middle because I think that those things are right.
So the reason I posed the question, I'm sorry.
You respond to her comment.
No, I just kind of followed it, right? She said, I'm sorry, she frosting.
A couple things. One is, I think it felt like an issue because it was handled clumsily. And it has happened before, and it just went on. The developer wasn't here, we didn't hear it, and so nobody commented on it. It was never raised as a thing. There was a big issue, I don't know, a year ago, maybe not even that long ago. People came in to talk about something that was controversial in the community. The player didn't come. People went home. They were told that the person they really wanted to address their comments to wasn't going to be here. We weren't going to vote. I don't even know what we said. A lot was said, but we just didn't hear their comments. And people were disappointed. But typically, if the developer's not here, it's tabled, and I've never seen it be an issue until it was. If we are saying to people, the developer's not here, we should be able to message that in a way that says, we're not going to talk about this tonight. Now, if you are all on fire to say it, a community member can absolutely put their hand up and say, I would still like to make comments for the record. The other part of it is, maybe we put on our website, we put on as a footer on the agenda, if the developer is not here, it will be tabled. And so you don't have an expectation of hearing it. You don't have to, you could, I guess you could still fight to have it heard. But just from a procedural standpoint, we're not going to vote on something where the developer's not here.
You understand, the difficulty is, I'm just gonna say this one more time. You have people who have an idea about what the project is, but there's nothing up on the screen or what is the project that they're commenting on? Well, the facts about it are not on the table because the developer's not here and their presentation isn't up on the screen. So we had somebody get up and talk about the setback of the building from the street, but it was inaccurate information. And we have there's no site plan up on the screen for them to even talk about. They were just talking about what their impression or understanding was of it. So this isn't like a public hearing where, you know, we have our opinions about some policy issue and we want to get up and talk about it. Sure, but this is a zoning case where the actual facts of what's being proposed are not in front of us. And yet people are going to get up and talk about it. So that's where the awkwardness is in the situation, and that's why I'm saying it doesn't do us any good, or them any good. That's why I'm saying that.
If we get to this situation again where the developer isn't here, could we accept a written testimony from the community member, or whoever it is that wants to talk, and that can then be read into the record if that person doesn't attend the next. So it would just be tabled as a matter of what we do, and then they could submit a written thing that can either be read into the record, or, because we've done that before, we've read comments from community members about different things.
But I would say the same thing. I think it's not timely to even accept that. I mean, we can take someone's letter, but I mean, I don't think it can really be considered until we actually have the hearing.
That's what I meant, is that it would be read into the record when the developer is
sure,
when the case is being.
If I may kind of respond to the general idea, I'm hearing a lot of different ideas. I want to just point out two things. While I viewed how the city handled this particular situation, I don't know what their official policy is. So I think it really is important that, as Chair Harris said, whatever the policy of the city is most likely the policy that we should highly consider. If folks in the commission want to make changes or enact some other policy, as long as it's long-standing and something that we can continue to follow, that's why I'm bringing this up, is so there isn't any awkwardness. It isn't up for consideration per se. It's a standardized policy or way that we conduct ourselves, that we can continue to conduct ourselves, so that there's no awkwardness both in how the developer feels like they are treated and how the representatives of the folks that are coming from the neighborhood feel as well. I have feelings about what I would like to happen, but I'm trying not to have that be the predominant way that we make this decision as I'm hoping that it's something that's a lot easier for us to get a consensus on, because it's something that we're willing to follow. I would say if folks want to talk about this more, we can. I don't want this to be what we talked about all tonight, but I want us to consider that most likely the best way to move forward may be just how the city handles this, as we are, I don't know what word it is, similar representatives of the city, I guess. That's probably not the right way to describe it, but that would be my response line. I think equitable ways into decision without having to go too much back.
Are we going to hear back about what's their official?
It'll take some digging,
It'll
but
take
I'll
time,
find it.
so.
Yeah, that was just what I observed.
Either way, I think it's important that if we know that a developer's not here, that we announce that at the beginning of the meeting, because it'd be a shame for community members to sit through what can sometimes be a 2.5 hour meeting, only to find out 2.5 hours later the developer's not there and they're not gonna have an opportunity to speak on a given development or whatever else. And so that's the only thing that I ask for us to consider in this policy, is that if we know ahead of time that the developer's not there. Now, sometimes our developers come in late because they're aware, they have other things going on, or they're aware that the beginning of the meeting might not be a substantial portion for them, or their presentation doesn't happen at the beginning of the meeting, but community members are waiting, for sometimes an hour, 2 hours, just to, have, a couple bars, listen to. And so
we could even put something on the door. Such and such case will not be heard tonight because the developer's unable to attend, so people show up. So, okay.
Yeah.
Can we be careful about our language, because this is an applicant, not always a developer, and I
Sure.
think sometimes developer has a different connotation than applicant.
Applicant, we should use it as that.
So I'll do the, see if I can find that. Maybe a comment or an answer from the crowd, and I'll stop.
If it would be helpful, I can ask tomorrow on Monday what our policy is in the planning division for all commissions.
That would be
That'd be
amazing.
helpful.
That'd be great.
Just to clear it up, yeah.
That way you guys can.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Benson, for bringing that up.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Thank, oh,
What was it that you said you were gonna gather?
The policy for, speakers if an applicant is present,
Like a-
allegations in the planning division.
I like the BZA or
Yeah, usually we have more historic preservation commissions and design commissions and planning division, but I would imagine it'd be similar protocol. But I can
You'll-
find out what these names is.
yeah. The only reason I say that, I mean, I thought you said something about area commissions because currently every commission has their own different set of how approvals happen.
thank you. All right, I guess there's a business. So Commissioner Wells has had 4 missed meetings officially, making him now having to exit out of commission unless we accept this email that he wrote.
I'm sorry, and
Maurice Wells, District 2. So I allowed him to write a note, petitioning as to why he should stay. He wrote, "Thanks, Commissioner Harris. I do not anticipate missing any additional meetings, but I cannot guarantee it. I have a demanding job that requires me to travel. I also have a working wife and 3 kids, who all are involved in sports. I think you can share this email with the group on Thursday and then take it up to a vote. No hard feelings either way." So given that, what would you all like to do? We can,
You gotta follow me with something bigger.
we can.
And he said what he said.
The bylaws say.
Yeah, so according to the bylaws, it has the 4 meetings missed, then you're done unless,
You're gonna vote on it?
unless someone state otherwise. We want to grant,
I would like to make a motion to grant Commissioner Wells an exception for, I think it's only 1 more week by then, right?
well, it's 4, and then you're.
And then you're done.
You're
Yeah,
done.
he's technically done.
Yeah, you're done.
So
before.
the note would have had to have come at missed meeting 3
It's-
or 2.
So
It's just,
an
it's
exception.
also like election time,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of like, what if, I was so excited that you showed up, but what if, September comes, he can't make it.
I mean, I guess it's
And
up to
then-
someone to pick another motion.
There's an,
I'm not sure if someone can help me with the wording. I'll stop because I'm not gonna make a motion on the floor because someone has a comment first.
Yeah, because if somebody can help me understand.
So I give what says in bio.
Okay.
A commissioner who misses more than 1/3 of the general body meetings or more than 1/3 of the meetings for the standing committee to which they are assigned for the calendar year is subject to removal for the dereliction of duty. All appeals to provide a rationale to be excused must be made in writing to the chair of the commission within 14 days of the receipt of notification from the commission. A 2/3 vote of the commissioners present at the next general body meeting shall be required to reinstate the commissioner. The vote on all appeals shall be by a roll call vote. Reinstatement, if approved by the commission, shall not release the commissioner from their obligation to attend future meetings. If the commissioners fail, and it's the bylaws, catch this, if the commissioner fails to attend a future meeting within the same year, the commissioner shall be removed for dereliction of duty.
So I understand that.
So
What is remainder on his term, please?
he has a full 2 years.
An additional question, how many of his committee meetings has he missed as well?
He has, missed a total of 2. So 2 committee meetings and now 4 general body meetings.
The way it's written is
What's
it's
the
not just
explanation again?
the,
For the missed meetings, there's something about Thursdays?
What? Something about Thursdays?
Just
No,
just
a busy
committees.
schedule with
Committee
kids.
and general body. It's 1:30 meetings.
What is the basis for an expectation that it'll be able to make all future meetings compared to the past? Is there really anything there? I'm not being unsympathetic, I'm just trying to understand if we're gonna reinstate somebody, it would be on the assumption that he can make the meetings in the future. I'm trying to understand what the basis of that is.
Yeah, I just gave him the opportunity as the bylaws now, so it's.
Ideally, that would be the expectation, but he said it himself, he can't make any guarantees.
Guaranteed, so.
Is there a way we can move to respect what he is saying, and if he be a community member, then we have, like, I don't know.
Let's see more.
Wait. I have a question, I have a question, you know, before we start playing the tunes out. So for those folks on the election committee who have to do the work of putting things and information out there, I think before I make any kind of motions, I should probably ask how this may affect the work that you all have to do if potentially a motion is made that reinstates a commissioner, and a commissioner that meets the meetings and is no longer, another meeting from now, and then has to essentially do.
it's not an election.
It's not an
It's not
election.
an
Point.
election.
This is a point, so we wouldn't have to make
No.
another.
No,
right,
it's-
so
It would be an appointment, which is executive.
Okay. So essentially, we can just accept that he has missed 1/3, or we can accept this appeal.
The way that the bylaws are worded, to me, it sounds like it's, you remove them and then he can appeal that and reinstate them.
Oh, I'm understanding that it's already technically removed because he missed.
He's
one.
not technically removed, we would still need to vote to remove him, it's
Oh.
just that
I
within.
don't think that was the way that the bylaws read. The bylaws read that you're subject to removal, you must appeal, and we must reinstate you. After reinstatement, if you miss another meeting, you are automatically disbarred from.
Right.
He made his appeal.
At
meeting
before you
before
send
the
a
general
note
body.
that says, this many meetings, it's too bad, so sad, and then they can appeal at that point. As Commissioner Wilbur said, they can appeal at that point, so he has an appeal, he's just.
Oh, that written, well,
Yeah.
okay, it's not.
He did say he was missing this meeting.
Yeah.
Knew he was missing.
So that was, is that?
So he did an advance of.
Wait, it said you have to do it before the meeting that would remove you, right, or is it?
This would have been
As you're
meetings
approaching
before.
your meeting,
Yeah.
it's communicated to you. So
Yeah, so
he-
this
he
technically
knew
is
when he was
appeal.
about to miss his third meeting that he was approaching four.
Yes.
Yes.
He said what he said.
So then, but it does make this a lot clearer for me. I would like to make a motion for the reinstatement of, sorry,
Reinstate.
We don't motion, based on the bylaws, it's a roll call vote, there's no motion.
okay, so we're just automatic,
That's what was read.
okay, so maybe I just apologize.
So,
Yeah.
Hold on, that's not the way that I'm reading the bylaws, though. It says that if they've missed, then a motion to remove for dereliction of duty needs, so they need to be removed for dereliction of duty, so that requires a motion and a vote. It's the reinstatement of that, so after we remove them, the bylaws are written that they can appeal that within 14 days. At the next meeting, we vote on a roll call vote to reinstate. I mean, I've got it pulled up, I.
okay,
Chair
yes.
gets to interpret.
So interpret?
You get to interpret.
Interpret.
Yeah.
Do you want a motion? Do you want to do a roll call to reinstate? What do you want to do?
Nothing to say, he needs to be removed.
He has to be removed first before anything
Because
can
he's
happen.
subject to removal, it doesn't say that he is, it specifically says subject to.
I vote to respect his wishes and remove him. I mean, you gotta keep it moving, like he said what he said.
It's for everywhere is a good thing.
Well, it says, so all people who made in
So is it?
Yes. Because I'm reading it as group, because otherwise, why would you make it a statement?
We've also already did everything to.
Well, so the first time.
People have things to do.
I think it's just.
All right, let me bring us back to order. So at this time, Commissioner Wells is subject to removal. And so then in September, that is when we can, if he chooses to send another email in 14 days of me notifying him that he has been removed, he can appear for us in September, if he says he wants to stay on, and then we go from there. So I'll send a notification saying you've been removed. If he wants to make an appeal, he has 14 days to do so, and then we'll find out in September, if he chooses to stay on or not. Then we go from there. But, what we will have to do in the interim anyway is we gotta show that there is a vacancy, for District 2. Or I guess within 14 days. So within 14 days, and that's you. There we go. Okay. All right. Any additional new business?
Yes, I'm so sorry, really quickly. The mayor's administration is hosting a series of town halls next week, and they're on this forum regarding the capital budget. So there's one on Tuesday. It's gonna focus on housing and mobility in Lincoln. That one is taking place at Newburgh. The one on Wednesday is on, how do you say this? Procurement process, and then that's at Columbus Co-ed on Main Street, and then the one on Thursday, is regarding Rankin Parks and Public Safety, and that's at Woodward Park Community Center. So last year, Commissioner Lowenstein gave a public statement, and he brought it to our attention that it would be a good idea if anyone from the commission would like to give a statement this year regarding what we believe may be the biggest shortcomings, whether that's housing, infrastructure, community facilities. So if anyone is interested, I believe the best method would be to reach out to Rebecca Deeds, or maybe even let Jesus know. I did click on the RSVP link. There isn't any method in there. If you're interested in giving a public statement, it's just to RSVP, but if anyone is interested in speaking.
Has anybody seen a summary of the budget published anywhere?
It says right here, there's a full breakdown.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm not of the belief that testifying is gonna change 1 cent in what's in budget, but I still think that having, you have several people on council and the administration who are there, it's a good opportunity to get up and let them know that in our neighborhood, we have these serious issues, whether it's sidewalks or issues with parks and recreation, or God, I don't know, as far as housing, we all know what those issues are. But I mean, having them, it's an opportunity to be heard. It's like we're going, if you can, even if your testimony is 2 minutes, people should hear. Like if no one goes, it's sort of, that's a kind of a message too. So.
The one on Wednesday's right down the street.
is it possible to get some of these events on our calendar, or because I just double checked the calendar to see if they're on there, I don't think they're on there.
It just came out today.
Okay, you know what,
Yeah.
that was, you can ignore it.
Which is maybe one of the concerns we should raise.
Yeah, it's like.
We got
less
than a week's notice.
Yeah, that's a process.
And the one in our neighborhood is actually during the workday, at 10 in the morning. So that's not, exactly. And if they're talking procurement at that one, people who would be most interested in contracting opportunities are probably somewhere working on contract, right?
Based on Commissioner Lowenstein's statement, would it be helpful to just maybe like make a document where we just type in some of the stuff? We have an idea of what like the neighborhood might be. I mean, I'm not as engaged as some of the other folks here, so you all had the CDC meetings, I don't know if there's like a handful of them. And it sounds like folks raised comments about what they might want to see at a particular site. Maybe that's not specifically what we speak to, but we speak to what the neighborhood has told us they would like to see. We're not looking forms about where specifically, but we have heard from neighbors, they have told us some of the things they'd like to see to keep it on a positive note, if that's helpful. Gives us something more specific.
Or if there's anyone available.
In other words, we did submission representation at the one in Newburgh, I think that's housing that night, but you know, Mac will show up. They will have 27 people there, so. And great southeast or great southerners.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, somebody's available, I feel like we can handle this offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You all have like.
Which one of those? Yes, there's one question.
All right, at this time, it is, 8:23. I guess, motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
Second, Vincent, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
I didn't work. I thought we were 893. 16. You mean this is the neighborhood?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, eight. Okay, yeah. I don't want to say anything out of pocket. Yeah, you guys just tell me. Yes. I'll just hear it deliver a message. I may not. Oh, yeah.
As much as I appreciate all the things,